The government never lies. The strong should always become the victors. Assassinations are always just unfortunate accidents conducted by lone madmen. And Hollywood is always just fiction, right? Conspiracy theories were once thought to just be the product of gullible fools or bored internet trolls spreading misinformation. But as more truth gets declassified, the secrets can no longer remain buried, and conspiracy theorists are often proven right. Is Bigfoot real? What if the Nazis didn't lose World War II? Is there a secret space program being covered up? What exactly is the Illuminati? And did the government crack mind control? I dived into the top conspiracy theories of all time to dig out the facts and rumors and see which might have a deeper story. Whether you're a conspiracy expert or you've never heard them before, let's dive in together to puzzle out the truth. Join me, Rob Counts, for a metaphysical show that's out of this world. The Stars and Stripes of America defeated fascism in Germany. Hitler offed himself after he was backed into a corner, and Uncle Sam ran giggling home. The Nazis lost the war. Or did they? The deeper conspiracy is that Hitler never actually ate cyanide, and he faked his death, fleeing to South America with some other top Nazis, which was possibly corroborated by the Argentinian president. Now let's think about it. The Nazi Party had more than 8 million members by the end of the war. It was made up of regular people, military members, businessmen, scholars, scientists, and researchers alike. Did they all just disappear the second midnight struck at the end of the war? The skilled academics and researchers were recruited by other countries like the Soviet Union and America. That's right, the US of A implemented a secret intelligence program called Operation Paperclip, where they brought over more than 1,600 German scientists, technicians, and engineers to milk their knowledge for all it was worth. When we hear the term Nazi, we think of Hitler crazily screaming at a crowd, or a mad scientist like Joseph Mengele conducting experiments on twins. But the important thing to realize is that just because someone is part of a crazy ideology that's evil, it doesn't mean that the people who believe in that ideology are unintelligent. In fact, other powerful nations like the Soviets and Americans weren't about to let some of the most brilliant minds in Nazi Germany rot in jail when they could instead head up things like NASA's space program. Wernher von Braun was one such Nazi rocket scientist who, under Operation Paperclip, helped the United States get to the moon, if you choose to believe we went there at all. And I'll get into that theory in a different show. As for Hitler himself, don't you think that the leader of the Nazi Empire had a backup plan if he were ever caught? These are the facts. He was obsessed with the occult, sending secret parties to Tibet for the secrets of immortality, and relic hunters all over Europe looking for important objects like the Holy Grail. Now, these are the rumors. Hitler allegedly had a fleet down in Antarctica, build a base there, and UFO teams working on anti-gravity research, and even developing a top-secret technological device called the Glocke, or the Nazi bell. Whether they ever built this base or technology, it was definitely being researched by multiple scientists. And it's important to note all of the Foo Fighter sightings during World War II. I mean, those pilots were seeing something, so what happened to the research? And what happened to the scientists? Under Operation Paperclip and other countries' programs, did the Nazis really lose in the end? Or do they live on now under a new banner? Now, this is a list of top conspiracy theories of all time, so I have to mention the craziest theories next. That not only did the Nazis build a base in Antarctica and research UFOs, but they also made it into space way before anyone else. They allegedly developed fleets of off-world ships, built bases on the moon, even created a swastika-shaped structure that you could apparently see with a telescope if the building hadn't been added onto, and of course covered in moon dust. And they probably workshopped a TV series called Nazis in Space. I mean, if you choose to believe any of this happy horse crap. I know. At this point, this theory is further out in space than even the Nazis might be. But the concept that Hitler lived out his retirement years in a cabana in South America isn't so far-fetched when you consider the true facts we can confirm. There's a town on the Brazil-Argentina border where Joseph Mengele, the twin DNA sequencing psycho, allegedly fled after the war. And this place has ridiculously more multiple births than could be explained by chance. I mean, twins are everywhere there. So it's pretty clear they were down there and tinkered with the locals' genetics. Now, whether all the rest of this is true is up to you, though. Probably my favorite movie of all time is Kung Fury, where the arch-villain is a time-traveling Hitler, and I'm pretty sure it was a documentary.
But you don't believe in any conspiracy theory? You just think the government's just batting 1,000 and telling us the whole truth? That's a strong stance to take.
Between 2001 and 2002, a Scottish hacker named Gary McKinnon perpetrated the biggest military computer hack of all time. He broke into the US military and NASA's computers and left behind a threat that he would continue to disrupt, quote, at the highest levels. After legal proceedings in Britain in 2012, he wasn't extradited to the United States. So was this just a national security issue for the US in the wake of 9/11, since McKinnon messed with their systems? Amazingly, it was so much more. McKinnon had been in their system specifically looking for information about free energy and UFOs, and he apparently found it.
Among the things I found, there was an Excel spreadsheet entitled Non-Terrestrial Officers, which I took to be a space-going fleet made of human personnel, not aliens. It did list their names, I couldn't find them on the internet at the time. There was also a list of ships, and I googled the ship names, and there were no matches. So I knew there weren't ocean-going vessels.
Non-terrestrial officers were listed right there in that spreadsheet McKinnon hacked into. It had people's names and ranks, plus tabs for material transfer between ships. And the ships all started with USS, or United States Ship. He took that to mean the Navy must have ships, not on Earth, but out there in space, probably fighting the Nazis. Get this, McKinnon reported seeing images of what he believed to be proof of this off-world fleet. He said, quote, "It was the hemisphere of a planet I assume was Earth. It was cloudy, but there was the classic cigar-shaped UFO. He didn't think it was man-made." Is there other proof of a secret space program? Yes. I did a whole episode on black budgets and NASA's secrets diving into it. Black budgets are budgets where the money is hidden and it's spent on black or secret projects. For example, if you don't write down how much you spent on an item, or you just list an item in your budget as costing way more than it really does, you can pocket the rest or put it somewhere that Congress or the American people never get to know about.
How do you get funding for something like this? You don't actually think they spend $20,000 on a hammer, $30,000 on a toilet seat, do you?
Another related conspiracy theory is whether we ever went to the moon, which I can do a separate episode on if you want. A common theory is that the famous film director Stanley Kubrick helped NASA fake that first footage pre-1969, and it was all recorded in a studio. Why would he do that? Well, the US was involved in a space race with enemy powers. Whoever conquered the cosmos first would theoretically have a higher standing on the world stage. JFK promised we'd go to the moon, so there was pressure to get there first before the Soviets.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon.
With such an important goal for national security, the mission to get to the moon had to succeed within a certain amount of time. So the deeper conspiracy theory here is that Stanley Kubrick was hired to film some footage that appeared to prove it, whether they got there or not. Kubrick was in the right position to do such a thing and was known for using films to convey deeper messages than the surface movie's message, and he developed all of the special effects for going to space for the first time. Now, that guy's movies have been analyzed more than the JFK Zapruder film. So regardless of any arguments about whether we actually did get to the moon in time or not, the rumor is that Stanley Kubrick shot NASA a backup for if the government needed it, convincing the world that they'd made it there even if we failed. Since that time, Buzz Aldrin has revealed there's something bizarre on Mars that some think might be a clue about off-planet civilizations as well. He's also said some other crazy stuff about never going to the moon, which has confused people.
We should go boldly where man has not gone before. Fly by the comets, visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there, a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there? Who put that there? Well, the universe put it there. If you choose, God put it there.
Now, all of this Kubrick information is interesting if you want to go that route, but one whistleblower that came out is a man named William Tompkins. You can look him up on YouTube. William Tompkins alleged that he was in the room during the NASA flight to the moon, and that not only did the astronauts make it to the moon, but that when they landed in that crater, they were visited by off-world beings who were very angry and told the man who made it to the moon to never come back. And this is why there was only one trip to the moon for so long. What do you believe? Do you believe the Kubrick story? Did we fake this? Or was William Tompkins an accurate whistleblower? Let us know what you think in the comments. I can't wait for this battle. All right, it wouldn't be right if we didn't start with the biggest mystery, potentially, of all time. Bigfoot. In 1967, Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin captured Bigfoot on camera in Northern California. The length of its proportions show long arms, a 6 to 7 foot tall frame, and a lumbering kind of walk. When it disappeared, they made casts of the right and left footprints it left behind. Some people firmly believe it's been debunked, but others think it's true, and Patterson maintained right up until his death that it wasn't a hoax, and Gimlin barely ever even spoke about the event outside of a few conferences. It's now considered the most famous Bigfoot footage ever taken. Bigfoot in some shape or form is spotted all over the planet. Seriously, every single culture seems to have a variant of a hairy, man-like creature spotted in remote areas. North America, especially the Pacific Northwest all the way up to Alaska, has the Bigfoot or Sasquatch. These dark-haired beings walk on two legs, can be anywhere from 8 to 12 feet tall, and hide deep in the woods, letting out whoop sounds to speak to others of their kind. At least that's what experiencers say. In these regions, many hikers have found structures like overturned trees that haven't just been uprooted, but actually stuck back into the ground upside down again, so their roots are on top, which, if you think about it, is incredibly amazing. I mean, how heavy a tree is and putting it in a perfect 90-degree angle from the ground. And amazingly, right before the Patterson-Gimlin encounter, the men had spotted an overturned tree with a large root system almost as high as a room. People have also found enormous log enclosures with what look like houses and even pens for young big feet, if that's what you call them. Bigfoot is said to be very territorial, as you might expect a giant ape creature to be. And get this, people who have come close to Bigfoot's lair report smelling the most awful stench imaginable, but that's probably because they've never been to Penn Station in New York City or those subway cars in the summer there with no one in them. Seriously, stay away from those. But regarding this stench out in the wild, they show hikers they're in Bigfoot territory and better hightail it out of there quickly or else. I've actually heard firsthand accounts of older Alaskan natives who tell their children to stay away from certain areas and never to hike alone, specifically because of this creature. In the southeast, around the Everglades, there's another kind of Bigfoot called a skunk ape, so there's corroboration about this terrible smell. They're also spotted in wildlife preserves, other forests, and even in places like Ohio, where just about everything exists. The Australians have the Yowie, the Himalayas have the Yeti and abominable snowman, and there are other Bigfoot beings in other areas. You can check out my episodes on the best Yeti sightings ever recorded, the abominable snowman and Alaska's Bigfoot, the Nantiac, for more. But where's the conspiracy here? Gorillas weren't formally discovered until the 1800s. Think about that. So is it weird for a Bigfoot kind of creature to really exist but just be hiding all this time? Well, many believe the governments of the world not only know about these creatures, but also periodically communicate with them. And they also know about Bigfoot's fantastic abilities. In 1980, Mount St. Helens erupted. Legend has it that after the eruption, a massive amount of Bigfoot carcasses were strewn all over the mountainside. Some were burned to death and some were still alive. Then the covert Mount St. Helens Bigfoot rescue began. The entire thing was covered up, and authorities worked to create a perimeter around the area with cleanup zones, then remove the Sasquatches and save some of them. But the land between the lakes in Kentucky might be one of the strangest encounter claims that transcends even the Bigfoot itself. Allegedly, the area used to be inhabited by a small community of people who had homes there before it was turned into a national park by the government, kicking those people out. As the sightings of strange creatures increased, mysterious and brutal murders started happening. Many blamed the Bigfoot for this, but the description of this creature didn't seem to line up with the classic description of the hairy ape man. This creature was wolf-like and terrifyingly strong, a being some call the Dogman. Whispers began to emerge of people hearing bizarre, fierce animals fighting in the forest with sounds of incredible thrashing. Some reported finding strange limbs torn clean off a body that didn't match up with any of the wildlife in the area. Locals tell about a territorial battle still raging to this day between the Bigfoot and the Dogman. If you want me to do a show on this, let me know in the comments because, who would win? Seriously, this discussion sounds epic. More intimate encounters with the Bigfoot have included amazing telepathic encounters with a strange, very intelligent creature. Now, consider why any group from any country would want to hide this information if it were real. Well, Bigfoot is rumored to be somehow interdimensional, as it can phase in and out of this reality, or at least camouflage so well it completely disappears. That quickly becomes a matter of national security. It's not just to protect these creatures that it's kept secret, it's to not let other countries know about these mysterious abilities or figure out how to develop them themselves. I know it sounds far-fetched. We all know it's always a matter of national security that we don't hear things. The government has never done anything wrong out of a pursuit of research and knowledge, except for all the times it has. Ever heard of MK Ultra mind control? I'm about to dive into that next, but first, a quick reminder to like and subscribe to the Metaphysical channel to make sure you don't miss out on any updates or content drops. All your support lets us keep making this content, so thanks a lot for watching, and now onto the mind control. The CIA has researched superhuman abilities since as far back as the 1940s. They got the intel that the Soviets were researching it in the 30s, so the US couldn't let the enemy's knowledge develop too far ahead if there were any truth to it. Stranger Things-styled military-funded programs were developed through the 50s and allegedly till the 80s, with researchers trying to understand these abilities and the human body more deeply. But it was definitely not always ethical. In fact, some think MK in MK Ultra stands for mind controller, the German word going back to the Nazis' first experiments with this. Why are the Nazis behind everything? Sensory deprivation, abuse and torture, hypnosis, and electric shocks were just the beginning for MK Ultra. Chemical cocktails of LSD were also administered to subjects, sometimes without their consent or knowledge. The CIA actually bought the entire world's supply of LSD for $240,000 and took it to the United States. Then, using fake institutions, they spread it around to hospitals, clinics, and prisons so they would research it for them. One prisoner who was tested was the crime boss Whitey Bulger, who was experimented on in prison and given LSD every single day. He heard voices and thought he was going insane. Can't imagine why. In 1973, the CIA director Richard Helms ordered all MK Ultra files to be destroyed, and it's now impossible to find out the extent of what craziness was going on because basically the Library of Alexandria of mind control research was set ablaze. Bill Clinton gave a speech in 1995 acknowledging that thousands of government-sponsored experiments did take place around the nation, reportedly to understand the effects of radiation exposure on the body. Sure, Bill. Clinton said they were kept secret not for national security, but for the fear of embarrassment, which was obviously wrong, and which probably went way beyond studying the effects of radiation, you think? There are declassified documents right on the CIA's archive and online showing that this MK Ultra program indeed existed. That's not a conspiracy theory. A lot of people think it ended there because they reported no actionable information was obtained from the mind studies, so the program was shut down. Sure, they're telling the truth. But let me ask you, why would the government continue to spend millions and millions of dollars on this project and other similar ones, changing the name over and over, funding the Stanford Research Institute's explorations into things like remote viewing and other ways to master the mind, if there weren't any benefit to them? With the Soviets and Chinese communists both exploring this field too, and secretly recording real results internally, do you think the United States just stopped? Preston Nichols wrote a book called The Montauk Project, Experiments in Time, detailing how children were experimented on in Montauk around Long Island, New York. If that sounds like the plot to Stranger Things, that's because it was its original title. One of the strangest things, pun intended, Nichols reported is having lost time and remembering his involvement in the Montauk Project over a protracted period of time. This has caused many people to completely disregard Nichols' claims. But if there are strange conspiratorial things being carried out by the world's governments, then it only makes sense that MKUltra might play a part in almost every one of them. Most people associate MKUltra with government experiments, but there's a lesser-known element to the origins of the MK program, and that has to do with potentially the biggest conspiracy theory of all time, the Illuminati. Word on the street is that this shady group of people have been creating mind control slaves through trauma by breaking a person down until there's a split in their personalities. But who are these people, and how deep does it go? Some call them the Illuminati, the New World Order, lizard alien overlords, or they point fingers at any number of social and religious groups as this mysterious them. Whatever you call them, they're thought to be an elite group puppeteering events all over the world, manipulating everything from the stock market to who will make it to the final round of an election, and even to what topics will appear in our sitcoms, movies, and music videos. They are the ones who own the world's wealth and have all the real power and use it for manipulation rather than good. It's just easiest and almost tongue-in-cheek these days to say they're Illuminati because nobody really knows. Though the term began to be used earlier and secret societies had existed for at least hundreds of years before, the origins of the Illuminati hails back to the late 1700s. The Bavarian Illuminati was a real group called that because Illuminati meant enlightened. Basically, like many, the front man of the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt, had a bad taste in his mouth from his schooling with the Jesuits. That experience ticked him off so much he decided to undermine the entire Catholic prevailing megasystem by creating a covert group that would then infiltrate every prominent secret society. Its aim was to create a world revolution with its anti-Catholic tenets. Long story short, this Bavarian Illuminati indeed infiltrated the Freemasons, where some of the most powerful men in the world were already in the Rolodex. From there, the Illuminati was officially shut down by the government, but that didn't matter because they were already double agents across all of Europe and the Masonic lodges. Now you might be thinking, hey, wait a minute, this isn't the concept of the Illuminati I remember. What about the 13 bloodlines? Well, it's not clear whether or not the 13 families were behind Adam Weishaupt or not. Some think they were, but this group is where the commonly accepted concept of the Illuminati comes from. You know, the one you and your friends used to talk about in high school after someone took out a dollar bill and showed everyone the all-seeing eye in the pyramid. This group of 13 families is all about bloodlines and is said to have ancient roots that trace back to God's original 12 tribes. But wait, Rob, you just said 12 tribes. Where does the 13th come from? Well, legend has it that this 13th family is the family that Satan himself infiltrated. Yeah, Satan's own bloodline that he started via corruption and perversion of God's original tribes. This bloodline was said to be the Merovingian bloodline, which is where the French weirdo in The Matrix got his name. That's right, the Wachowskis are in the know. Now, this is about to get a little weird if it wasn't already, but legend also has it that this Illuminati group is obsessed with magic that only they possess, and others that try to perform magic or magic rites don't have the spiritual blood to do it. And if that doesn't sound like some Harry Potter BS, I don't know what does. These 13 families were commonly known over here in America as big tycoon elite families, but some think even this set of 13 families is a smokescreen for the real 13 families who are actually in Europe and are responsible for almost all the ongoings there for the many last hundreds of years. And these families are known as the Black Nobility. What's weird is that the American bloodlines and these European bloodlines always seem to marry one another, further encouraging conspiracy theorists to speculate. There isn't enough time to go into all of this, and I don't want to get killed, but it's the grandpappy of all conspiracy theories for a reason. Or is it? Because the head of this entire contingency, and more specifically the Merovingian bloodline, is said to be some type of weird lizard alien creature known as Pindar. And this is where all that lizard hoopla comes from. Allegedly. That's it. The show's over. We're done. Well, all right. If such deep conspiracy theories as his secret space program, Bigfoot's existence, Hitler's escape, lizard overlords, and cracking the code to mind control are all indeed real, then who exactly is keeping them all a secret? The military-industrial complex? Oh, next time I might have to go into that one. I can't say for sure who's keeping them all a secret, but when it comes to secrets, there's nothing really wrong with the space program or protecting Bigfoot. But there is a problem with secrecy for selfish reasons and gaslighting the public that there's no more to our reality. When we have all of these UFO whistleblowers and proven mind control experiments showing some people have superpowers. Perhaps the point of all of our conspiracy theories aren't just to spread rumors and disinformation or to jump on every fun bandwagon. Maybe they're crucial for helping us puzzle out the mysteries still yet to be solved and confirmed. And maybe, if we keep digging into them and make them less taboo to talk about, we'll figure out the truth together. What do you guys think? What conspiracy theories do you think should make the top lists that I haven't covered yet? I can't wait to see what you guys comment and then do another episode with more top theories, so let me know. Remember to like and subscribe to the Metaphysical channel so you don't miss out on any updates or content drops. And if you want to support my work and get access to bonus content, you can subscribe to themetaphysical.tv, where I have more than 1,000 videos on mysteries, ancient civilizations, and more. It's a total banger. Here's a big shout out to all our current subscribers because we couldn't keep making this content without you guys. And if you'd like to get yourself a bag of metaphysical coffee that also supports the show, visit the links in the description as well. Thanks so much for watching, and with that, I hope you thought this episode was out of this world.